this show on the road. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear review. Today we are officially nerding out. We're geeking out. I'm geeking out on this watch. It is the Casio calculator watch, the DBC32. This is a watch that has a lot of history tied to it. Matter of fact, it goes back to the CA-53. So if you're familiar with the movie Back to the Future, this is the watch that the character Marty McFly wore in the movie Back to the Future, and it was legendary ever since. I remember that when I was in junior high, I was seeing that movie and thinking to myself, there is no way you will ever see me wearing a calculator watch on my wrist, ever. About 2 years later, I ended up buying, this was like early high school, I think, I ended up buying the DBC611. And I bought it because it was so cool looking. It had kind of that DeLorean look to it, so I was still kind of tied to the Back to the Future scene. No real raised buttons at all, very smooth keyboard there. So I had that for a few months, and then I just hated it. It was pulling hair on my arms, the light wasn't very good, I hated it, stopped wearing it, and I've never worn one of those watches since, until now. And now I have the DBC32, and this watch, I have to say, is one of the best watches that I've come across as far as the fit and the comfort of wearing this watch. It just wraps around your arm. It's fantastic. But something I want to make the case for right now, and we're going to get into the review here in just a second, and that is, this watch, I think, is the best traveling watch that you can wear. And I don't mean traveler watch, traveling watch. While you're actually traveling, when you're in the car going from state to state, or if in any case, maybe country to country, or airplane, you're going around state to state, or international flights, those kind of things. This is the watch I think that I'm going to be wearing for those kind of trips, because it has information on here. I've entered all of my contact information, not actual policy information, but helpline information for my business insurance, car insurance, health insurance, I would also, if I was to travel internationally, I'm going to put the embassy phone number on there. I'm going to put local law enforcement phone numbers on there. All of that information can go on this watch. So if I lose my phone and or my wallet, I still have the contact information. You know, back in the 80s when the CA-53 was around, it wasn't a data bank. There wasn't a way of storing phone numbers on your watch. You memorized everything. You had it written down. But in today's age, so much of it is stored on that smartphone that if you lose the smartphone, you lose all of that contact information. So for me, I think this watch does a great job of providing that information as a redundancy, as an everyday carry type situation while I'm traveling. I'm not going to wear this watch around and about because, first of all, it doesn't have any water resistance whatsoever, which means maybe it could handle a splash of water here or there, but definitely not submersion, definitely not any type of extended water exposure whatsoever. So I'm not wearing this watch in the kind of regular outdoor setting. I'm going to be wearing it traveling in a plane, traveling in a car, maybe tourist hikes here and there, just in case something were to happen, I get mugged or I lose my wallet or my cell phone. So for me, this is that redundancy piece that I just think is really important. So if you're an EDC minded person, this might be the simple redundancy that you want to have while you're traveling. And when I get to my destination, I'm going to swap things out, get back to my normal watches that I like to wear on a regular basis that just suit me a little bit better. But I have to say, this thing really fits really well. And then I've also got some how-tos on the module. It's kind of a longer video, but the module itself and just how to go through all the different functions that are on this watch. So if you're interested in a specific function, you've come to this video to look for a specific function, check out the video description. I've got chapter indicators of where all of those modifications and adjustments are in the video. So let's get started with the size, fitment, finish, accuracy, legibility, and light. All right, let's get started with this watch. This is the DBC32. This is a data bank version of the calculator watch. The original Marty McFly, Back to the Future, started it all. The craze is the CA-53. So let's go through the 5 things we typically go through: size, fitment, finish, accuracy, legibility, and in this case, light. So size. This is a great size watch. It'll drape over the wrist. This is a lot like a watch that has really good lug contours or lug angles on a regular watch, like a watch like this. You've got some really good downturned lugs to really make it comfortable, okay? This watch accomplishes the same thing because this is a long watch north to south. I'm going to pull up the 53 here to show you. All right, there's the 53. You can see how much longer the DBC32 is than the CA-53 over here, the Marty McFly watch, okay? So with that in mind, I think this watch fits great. I'm going to show you some photos here. I love it. the weight of this is so light. The strap, typical strap issue that I have with Casio straps, just not enough adjustability in here. They mask it with some of these cool, tapered holes on the strap, but that doesn't relieve the fact that the space between those holes just doesn't refine the fit as well as it could. And if you don't believe me that you can get these holes closer together, go look at my video on the Zello Swordfish bronze edition. There's a strap on there where the holes are significantly closer together, much better fit. I am vindicated. I think I've vindicated myself on that. All right. So fitment wise, I think this watch fits really well. This one happens to fit me just perfectly, so I don't have to worry too much about that. It's too tight or it's too loose kind of feeling that I get 50% of the times with Casios. All right. What about finish? Typical Casio finish. Okay. Resin case, yeah, nothing special. Big display though, you're gonna have a big reflective surface on here, so just keep that in mind when it comes down to light. Also, I think the finish of these buttons is good. There's a tactile finish to this keypad, which I like. Not quite as tactile as the cheaper 53, all right? And certainly more tactile than the, what is this one? This is the DBC611. The DBC611. All right, that's just a flush keyboard. I remember this is the watch I got when I was in junior high. Okay, I got this watch when I was in junior high. We'll get to that review later, but I just wanted to show you the different keyboards that are used in these calculator watches. All right, so tactile, yes, it feels good. I think the finish on this is good. The numbers are easy to read. Now, easy to read is a relative thing because everything on here is small because they have to fit it all onto a watch. So I'm putting my glasses on to read this stuff, but I can definitely do that. I can definitely feel the buttons with my fingertip on here, and I can pretty much, push the button that I want to push. So as far as the finish goes, it's adequate. It's Casio finish as far as over color pad and things like that. Keypad is good. I like this one. It's kind of the in-between of the 53 and the 611. The 611 being very, very just flush. There's nothing there to really feel. So that is typical 90s if you ask me. All right. Now, what about accuracy? Plus or minus 30 seconds a month. So typical Casio finish. Battery, 10-year battery on this, assuming everything else is used according to what they anticipate for that 10-year battery length. But 10 years, I mean, that's a big jump up. This is a 5-year battery. So when you're looking at the 53, it's a 5-year battery. All right. So let's get into legibility and light. Legibility is good. I like the legibility of this display much better. The 53 is a little bit smaller. The time is smaller. Contrast is about the same. I wish it was a little bit more contrasty, but they both have kind of about the same contrast, as far as the light to dark contrast on the display. So that's fine. Display on here, I'm not a fan of the date, the first or the January 27th. Too small. I don't need to know the year. The year is just like the first day or two of the year, and I'll figure that out. I do like the day. Look at the day of the week. That's nice. Big numbers on the display. So overall legibility of this is great. Legibility on here is what it's supposed to be. It's not going to be good. I'm not going to ding this because everything is so small. That's the way that you fit this on here. Okay. Legibility also, they have some displays, some information on here as far as like making an adjustment. You press this button. If you're going to the mode, you press the bottom button. This is your light button up here. And this is your all clear or your 12 and 24 hour button down here, the C. I think they call it the C button. Okay. Now, what about light? The light, I think, does a good job. We'll push the button here and get the light on. All right. This one lights up all of it. So I really like the light on this watch overall. Just to give a little spoiler alert, the watch on this one, or the light on this one, is like the F91. It is garbage. Okay. It lights up the first 2 digits of the time, and that's all you can see. So much, much better. The light on this it's great. Relatively speaking, it's great. Now, is it electroluminescent great? No, it's not. Okay, so let's keep everything in order here. All right, let's go over the functions for this watch. There's a lot to go through. I'm going to put these into chapters so it's a little bit easier to follow. So if you go back to the video description, you'll see where the chapters are for specific function adjustments on this watch. So first and foremost, if you want to adjust the time, straightforward. I'm not going to go through this. You're going to press the adjust button up here at the top left, and that is going to help you adjust the time. One of the nice things about the calculator watch is that you don't have to press buttons to go through and add or subtract time on the hour or the minutes or whatever. You just type it in. The day of the week is going to show up once you have the year, month, and date down. The day of the week will show up after that, so don't worry about the day of the week. All right, so the time is pretty straightforward. One thing you can set during the home screen set function, let's hold this down here. Also, you can set the language, and you can also set then the duration of the light. So if you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that little dark square over the 3-second duration for the light. Okay, and so we're going to change that, turn that on, and turn that off. Now it's off, and now it's back on. Okay, so that's one place where you can change the duration of the light from about 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds. I always have it on 3 seconds because that seems like 1.5 is just not quite long enough. All right, languages, you have, I think it's 13 languages that you can scroll through and choose. All right, so that's the home screen. Data bank, I've got a bunch of data in there right now, but the data bank is pretty straightforward. You're going to use the bottom two keys. I'm not in the data bank mode here, I'm in the calculator mode, but I've got a bunch of data on here. You're going to use the bottom two keys here, the B and the C key, to scroll left and right. You're going to use the plus key and the division key on the keyboard, on the keypad, to go up and down the alphabet and the numeric keypad part of it. Okay, so you're going to use the division key or the addition key to scroll through the letters. And it's pretty straightforward. You can have name first, number second, or number first and name second. From what I can tell, the name first, number second is probably the easier way to do it. But also keep in mind that the phone number is, if you put in the 10 digits, it's going to be a little bit longer, and you're going to have a couple of digits that kind of carries over. Okay, now calculator. We're in the calculator mode right now. The calculator mode, pretty straightforward. You're going to type in your functions, your numbers in the functions, and then hit equals down here. The bottom right key here, the C key, is going to be your all clear. It clears everything out. Notice down here we have the time. So the time for the watch itself is always going to be in that lower left-hand corner. So I could type in 7 times 5 and hit equals, and you get 35. Okay, all clear. All right, one of the cool features of this calculator is that I can put a constant in, and then all I have to do is type in the number that I want it to be multiplied by. So let's say, for instance, I want 7 to be my constant, 7, and I want it to be a constant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the multiplication key twice, and you'll notice up here that there is the letter K for constant. All right, so the 7 is now the constant. And that is going to be, let's just say, times 3. All right, so I should get 21. There it is. Okay. Now, from here on out, that 7 in a multiplication function is embedded in this calculator. So all I have to do is type in numbers. So 1, let's say 1.5, and that should be, 10 and a half? 10 and a half, right? If I put in 11, I should get 77. Okay, so you can type in a constant. Now, one of the things that can help you with, if you want to type in the exchange rate for currencies, you can do that here, and it'll work just like the next function I'm going to show you here, which is the built-in exchange function, which is basically a multiplication or a division, depending on which direction you're going. But that's the basics for the keypad here. You do have the decimal point over here. You have the 1 through 9 and the 0 equal sign down here, and the 4 functions across the top. Something else. If you square a number, let's say it's 12 squared. So I put 12, and I do that, and there you go. So if I hit multiplication twice, you're squaring 12, and you get 144. So that's a fast way to do that. Notice you're also, when you do that, you're entering the 12 in as a constant, but when you hit equals right away without hitting a second number, it'll just square the number that you have to start with, which is the 12, which makes 144. All right. So now if I go to the exchange rate, notice I hit the bottom key here, and I get the exchange rate. The exchange rate I have in here right now, I have a little cheat sheet here. This is some of the exchange rates. I just went online to pick some of these out. Get this folded so it stays kind of in the background there. So this is against the US dollar. This is $1 US is this value in these other currencies. So the euro, it's less than. British pound, less than 1. Canadian funny money, it's just over 1. Japanese yen, obviously way more. The rand, the South African rand, and the Swiss franc. Okay, so those are all the exchange rates for $1 US. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my exchange rate, and I've already done it for, let's see here, that is 1.33, so that's the Canadian dollar. All right, so that's the funny money dollar. So I've got that in there, and I've typed it in, so when I use this, all I have to type in is the number of US dollars I have in my possession. Let's just say I have $25, and then I hit equals, and that's what it would be in Canadian dollars, $33.47 in Canadian. Now, what if I'm going the other direction? I'm shopping, and I'm in Canada, and I want to change that from US to Canadian, from now Canadian to US. So I'm going to take this, hold this down, and instead of multiplication, I'm going to use division. So press the division button. Notice the division symbol at the top. Enter. Okay. Remember the exchange rate is still the same. It's still 1.33. Okay. But now I'm dividing. So let's say I'm in a store in Canada and it's let's say $98. All right. Hit equals. And that's what it would be in American dollars. So you can go either direction. Once you enter in the exchange rate, it's multiplication to go from what you're currently coming from. So in this case, US dollars, and what you're going to, that would be multiplication. And division would be where you're at and converting it to your home currency. Okay, kind of a cool feature. Now, frankly, you can do that in the calculator function with the constant. So it's not a huge deal. It's the same basic idea. All right. Now, when you go through, okay, so here's the date, and whenever you do one of these functions, it automatically goes back to the home screen. So there's the data bank, and notice I go right back to the exchange. So there's actually two functions here. So I'm going to use this button down here in the C button to go back to calculator. All right, and then, okay, since I've done something there, it goes back to the home screen. And then I'm going to go on to the next one. So now here's the alarm. So for an alarm, there's a whole slew of stuff that you can do here. You can, first of all, turn the alarm on, and you'll notice down here, very small, and it probably doesn't show up, but you'll see probably just a little something show up here. But that's alarm 1 being active. If I press it again, alarm 1 is the only one that has the snooze function. So here's the alarm. It says it's active, and it's also on snooze, which will repeat itself every 5 minutes, okay, until it's shut off. And hit that again, and then it all goes away. You have a bunch of alarm functions, and you can test that, or you can go through and see them by using the page forward key here that you would use for the data bank. That's the same button that we're going to use for the alarm function. And there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here is the hourly signal, and you can turn that on and off. And here's the signal indicator down here on the right, and it's off, and that's the only function there. So let's go back to alarm number 1, because this is the one that has the most features. Alarms 2 through 5, again, do not have the snooze feature. The rest of them all operate the same. So when we set the alarm, we're going to hold down the key. We can type in the time. So let's just say I want it to be 11:58 when I want the alarm to go off. Now I can choose a specific date for this alarm to go off. If I go zeros all the way across, okay, it's a daily alarm that goes off at 11:58 every day, all year long. Okay. If I type in a month, so if I go through this, use this key here, okay, I can set it up where it goes off for the entire month. So if it's, let's say, February, I'm going to type in a 2. Let's just go 02. Okay. And if I hit enter, or if I hit the adjust key, this alarm is going to go off in the month of February at 11:58 every day. Now this is 11:58 a.m. because I'm set up in 24-hour time. So if I go past noon, it's going to say 1,300 hours, 1,400 hours, and so on. All right. So this is every day of the month. Now we can change that. All right. Let's put double zeros in there, and let's have it go off on the 10th of every month. So this is different now. So this is going to go off on the 10th of every month. Okay. And of course, if I want it to go off on a specific month and date, then I would just go through here and type in 02. All right, February 10th at 11:58, this alarm is going to go off. So you have all those features that you can put into this alarm, and frankly, I think it's awesome. This is one of my favorite pieces about the Casio watches that have this, where you can choose the month, the date, the specific month and date. It's a great feature. All right, so there we're going to go through and turn all that off so I don't wake myself up. Now, you can do that specific alarm on 2 through 5. Only the snooze function applies to number 1, alarm number 1. All right, so stopwatch, pretty straightforward. Start stop is here on C. Reset. Okay, your lap counter is over here as well. So if you start it up here, get a few seconds in. Okay, and then hit lap. Okay, press up, re-engage, stop, reset. Okay, so there you go. There's the stopwatch. Now dual time, same deal. You're going to set up the dual time here. Press and hold this, and you can just type in the time that you want to have for your dual time. All right. Now, what about automatic light? So this has an automatic light feature. So when you turn from flat to about 40 degrees, somewhere in there, 45 degrees, the automatic light is going to go on. So what you do is just hold down the light button up here. This is the light button that you would activate if you just wanted a 3-second, in this case 3-second, illumination of the display. But we're going to hold this down. Okay, and you'll notice that up here, that little brick was filled in where it says auto light. Okay. Hold it down again, turns it off. Now, because this is battery powered and you have a 10-year battery on here, one of the ways that they conserve battery is that if you turn the auto light feature on, 6 hours later, it automatically is disengaged. Okay. One more feature I didn't mention, and that was the mute of the Roger beep that you get off the keypad when you're pressing any of the keys, whether it's the keypad or the buttons on the side. As you notice when you go through the modes, right now it's muted. Okay. So how can I get the Roger beep back? Go back to calculator, and you're going to hold down B, and what you'll notice is there's a block on here that has the mute indicator on here. Right now it's active. I'm going to hold it down, and that's going to disappear. Whoops. Hold it down, and it disappears. Of course, you get a Roger beep on that one. So now anything that I touch on the keypad, okay, that's all going to beep. So you just hold this button down, hold it. There you go. And that mute button is there. And now no matter what I type, there is no sound. So if you're in a sound sensitive area, this is one way to mitigate that. And then we're back to the Roger beep. All right. And again, if you want to switch between 12-hour and 24-hour format, you press the C button here at the bottom. So overall, I like this watch a lot. 9.5 out of 10. Is it a keeper? Absolutely a keeper for me. The light's not the best. There's, the buttons are kind of hard to push. The data bank to me is golden. I love it. I love the display size. I'm not a huge fan of the overall contrast. Typical Casio garbage strap when it comes to fitment. That's just the way it is. But it fits so nice on the wrist. It's amazing. I don't know if anybody else out there has this, the DBC32. Put in the comments down below what you think of the fit on the wrist. I think this watch fits really well on the wrist. So check out my website, realidealgear.com. I do have a bunch of watches that I put on there. I can't hang on to. Casios. I have some Casios that are going to hit the market here pretty soon when I'm done with the review. And also some limited edition watches, other analog watches, things like that. So check that out periodically. Some of the watches I will lower the price on every 2 to 3 weeks over time until they sell. I've had a bunch of them sell now, so I'm going to put a bunch more on there and start rolling out some more watches on the website. So realidealgear.com. So there you go, 9.5 out of 10. Is it a keeper? Yes, I do recommend this. I think this is one of those great watches. If anything, for the data bank side of things, for when you're traveling, it's just outstanding. So there you go. My name's Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review. We'll catch you guys next time.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear review. And today we're looking at the Casio DBC. We are geeking out, nerding out. We're going, you know what, to the walls. Frick. Shoot. C611. And I think it's the 611. Let me get my glasses on here. Yeah. So the watch that I had when I was a kid,
It was such a good intro.